morning to you from wherever you're getting me from. How are you? How has been your weekend? How has everything been going on? And I hope that it was a profitable weekend for you as a business person in the agricultural space. I hope it was also an amazing weekend for you as a farmer, that you had a chance to recharge, reconnect with your farm, reconnect with the very tasks that you do on a daily basis. I hope that this was a really good weekend that you used to recharge as well. My name is Benson Numa, and I take this opportunity to welcome you back to the Morning Brew. Now, last week we had a foresight into what profit looks like when you're into agriculture. Maybe to do a quick recap on what we were having. Last week, I remember we spoke about things to do with expenses in farming. We talked about what exactly goes into farming and the cost that you have to undertake so that you can run a profitable farm. And that was just but a mention of the very much things that you need to do when you're setting up your farm for profitability. Also, the very things that you need to do as the person who is thinking of starting into agriculture. I remember we were able to demystify some of the principles you can apply and some of the things that you can do as an entrepreneur or as a young person thinking of getting to the agricultural space. Now, this week, as we promised, we said that we are going to dive deep into profitability. How do you generate revenue? How do you ensure that you are in profits? How do you ensure that you don't run at a loss? How do you ensure that your farm is sustainable? Because we understood that if at all you do not have a cost that is way lower than the revenue that you get as a farmer or as a middleman, then it simply means that you're going to run your farm at a loss. What that simply means is that the more you run your farm, the more unsustainable it is for you, because you cannot keep taking money from your pocket, feeding to the farm. It will be like a cow that you're feeding and it's not producing neither milk nor meat. So all you're doing is to waste resources, and all you're doing is to waste your own time. So we said that number one, you need to master the resources, the expenses, and the first thing that you do so that you can master the expenses in your farming is, number one, you get to understand exactly what do you do with your money and exactly where does your money go to. Because if you do not understand this, it's simply not going to make you any profits. So welcome back so that we can dive this week into profits, into revenues, and some of the market prices of products. Tell me the products you want us to look into. Tell me some of the products you want me to tell you, how much they are costing in the marketplace. Let me understand exactly what are some of the things that you would want to understand when it comes to agriculture, or some of the crops that you want me to touch on so that I can give you updates. Where are the best places to sell them? What are some of the best market prices? How can you get the best quality and the best breeds? So let me know so that I can be in a position to assist you as well as we get into this journey. Because I told you on the Morning Brew, this is the home for every agripreneur. This is the home for every farmer. This is the home for everyone aspiring to get into the space. And also this is the home for each and every one of you who is passionate about agriculture, passionate about agribusiness. Now, diving right into it. So let me know some of the crops you would want me to talk about, some of the crops that you would want me to look into. Let me know in the comment section so that I can get as well to respond to you, and so that I can get as well to give you the feedback that there is, and I can tell you this product will do better here and this product will do better there. Now let's get back to our story, back to our discussion, and I want to start with a story. So there's this lady who came to me recently actually, and we were talking, and she's into agribusiness. Actually, she sells tomatoes. And so we were talking and we were discussing the whole aspect that goes into the same. And as we were talking, she realized that last month alone, she made around, I think it was around 60 to 70,000 there or thereabout. And out of the much that she made in that month, you'll be shocked to understand that the profit that she made throughout was only 6,300, I don't know, and some few coins on top of that. And she asked me, how could this be possible? Yet we are making a lot of money. Actually, in the first place, she did not even understood. Actually, she didn't know. She didn't know that she was running at a loss. She didn't know that she was making very thin margins with whatever she was doing. Remember, this business has been costing her a fortune. It has been costing her a lot to do. So when she pours in money and she gets back money, sometimes she'll pour in money in large sum. And so you see, when you're investing in lump sum and you're investing once in a while, you never really get to realize the dynamics that that get to cost you. You never get to realize some of the elements that really weigh you down, bring you to your feet as a farmer or as a business person in the space. So we are discussing, and then I tell her, let us check into your expenses. And so we started checking in the expenses, and we realized she spent on this amount on seeds, fertilizers, labor, irrigation. She also spent some money, I don't know, on security and stuff. And by the end of the day, we realized that she's actually been doing nothing on that farm but actually making money for other people, because once she produces the tomatoes, she sells them at a wholesale price to other people who go and resell them in major markets. So what does that mean for her? It simply means that she doesn't have the upper hand or the advantage of the market from the consumer, so that she can make higher margins. And that definitely translates into a loss, because 5,000, let's be honest, it's not really a lot based on what she has spent, how much she has had to do, and the way of life. That is not an enough amount of money for you to say that this is exactly something that was bringing profits on my end. So this brings me back to the discussion. Exactly what do you need to do so that you can ensure that you're making profits? What do you do? Because now you've realized that it's possible for you to make money and not make profits. Making money is one thing, making profits is another thing. You remember last time we talked about expenses. Now, let me break this down. We talked about expense. Now, let's look into what we call profits. We said that profit is equals to revenue, the revenue that you get or the income that you get from selling what you're selling, minus the expenses that you underwent. So let's say you made 100,000. What that is simply going to mean for you is that it's going to mean that you take your 100,000 on expense. Maybe you made 100,000. You take 100,000 that you made, and then you take the expense, maybe 80,000 or 60,000. You minus from the 100,000, which gives you a profit of 40,000. Now, 40,000 might look like a lot of money. 40,000 might look like something. Keep the comments coming in. Keep the comments coming in. 40,000 might look like a lot of money, and it might seem as if you're making enough profits as a person in business. But I told you that in business, profit is determined and defined by how long does it take for you to make that money. If you took 6 months to make 40,000, then it's a loss on your end, because you're making less than 10,000 every day, around 8,000 there. That is how much you're making. Actually, 7,000 and a few hundreds on top. That is how much you're making. So if it takes you exactly 4 months to make 40,000, you're still at a loss, you're making 10,000. But if you can make this money in 2 months, then you're at a better place and at an advantageous place. Then if you can make the 40,000 in profit when it comes to a month, then of course you're making a lot of money. I remember a year ago we did a graph on expense versus profits, and how businesses manage cash flow and how you can ensure that cash flow works for you. And I remember as I was breaking this down, and I was trying to make this make sense to people. I remember in that graph, it was actually an extrapolation from a masterclass that we just had with business people. And we were trying to explain exactly how much time is of essence for you as a business owner. How much time is of essence to you as you're getting into selling products and selling services. Why am I saying this? This is the reason. If today you take 100,000, as we have said, that is the money you've earned today. Let's say a client came to you today, took all your products or took something from you, and then they gave you 100,000. Then you do the subtraction of the total expense that you've had to go through to get that product ready. Let's say it's 60,000. So you take 100,000 and then you take away 60,000, which that gives you 40,000. Now, what I'm trying to say is that if you made the 40,000 exactly after 1 week, that is a huge profit. If you made 100,000 or the 40,000 after 2 weeks, it's still good money. If you made it in a month, let's say, it's also a fair amount of money. In 2 months, it depends. It depends with your lifestyle, it depends with how much you've had to go through. It also depends on how much you can sacrifice in business, because money is as a result of the time taken to accumulate it. So the value of that money depends on the time that you take to get it. So if you took 4 months, man, you're at a huge loss and you're running your business at a big loss. Now let's go into making profits. Let me start by, how do you make profits as a business owner? Let me start by saying this. In business, as you're trying to make profits, in business, as you're trying to grow yourself into the same, the first thing that you need to understand is that understand the value in the market. So we are going to take the example of tomatoes. All right, let's assume now, let's call this farmer Ann, all right, or let's call the farmer any name. Let's call him even Kim or John, whatever you want to call him. But let's say we have our farmer as farmer X. Let's say it's X is the farmer. So we have farmer X planting tomatoes, and he wants to make as much money as possible from the farming of the same. So this is what you do. The first thing, you look at the market prices. What does this give you? It gives you an upper hand when it comes to comparing markets. All right, we are talking about making profits now, but we have to understand the process. What is the chemistry that goes into making profits in agriculture? Number one, you need to do a lot of research looking into the market. So you look into the market and you realize, what are some of the markets that serve my niche very well, and what are some of the markets that give me an advantage when it comes to cost and expenses? What are some of these places that really give me an upper hand? That is number one. Number two, once you do that, the next thing that you need to do is to compare between markets. You need to compare exactly. If today I'm starting here and I'm going towards this direction, I need to compare. Once I do my research, I need to compare through them and make a decision based on what? Not only based on prices, but also based on every cost. You remember we talked about cost? Every cost that is going to take you to get that product to that market, because some markets will give you 2 shillings on top of package of your product, and once you do the math, you realize in a certain market you'll be making an extra 6,000, but you'll be needed to spend an extra 5,000 on transport. So what does that tell you? It simply tells you that literally there's no need for you to go through that journey, because it's going to cost you on transport. So it's like you're not making any money, because remember, convenience, time, they add value to the money that you get. So it needs to come with convenience, and it needs to come with time. So it gives you an upper hand once you can get the two. So number one, you compare between the two. Maybe in some markets you go there and then there is risk. All right, you need to calculate also the risk when you're comparing them. What are some of the places that have higher risks when it comes to selling my products to them? Because you realize some markets you sell to them a certain product, and then maybe you stand a risk of losing your product, it will be stolen, or you stand even a risk of your product being taken on consignment, and you're told that we are going to pay you once we sell it. Now, what if they don't sell your product? It simply means if your product is perishable, because usually in agriculture, most products are very perishable, it simply means that it will go bad and you will not be paid for that product. You see that? Time, convenience, and the risk that you need to take, they are really important. Now, once you've calculated the three and you've realized that this is what is working for me, this is what I can do, the second thing that you want to do is to serve the people on the highest value chain in your industry. What do I mean? Serve people who are on a higher value chain than the others. For example, if you grow tomatoes and not on a very big piece of land, you want to enjoy the economies of scale when it comes to selling, and that is, you do not want to sell them to wholesalers because you're not going to make a lot, and you want to sell them direct to consumers or hotels or supermarkets. If preferably, what I would advise you, if you're good at tendering, if you're good at getting contracts that will get you certain deals in business, then the best place to go to is hotels and supermarkets. Why am I saying this? Because hotels and supermarkets, they are higher on the value chain. They are very high on the value chain. They're going to pay you more, they're going to be consistent with you, and they're going to offer you higher value and higher margins. It's as simple as that. So if you're getting into agriculture and you want to grow your agricultural abilities, and you want to ensure that things run as they're supposed to be and things go as they're supposed to be, then you have to ensure that you look for the people or the parties or the players that are high on the value chain so that you sell to them. Okay, so if you're a farmer, you grow sukuma wiki. Instead of taking that sukuma wiki and giving it to someone who wants to go to sell to schools or hospitals or a certain organizations, you want to take those tenders yourself and supply there. So if you can make like a pickup of sukuma wiki, if you can make a pickup of maybe tomatoes, that is like a few crates of them, if you can make that, they are not really a lot. You want to sell to the people on the higher value chain so that they can pay you more, and then you can get a lot of money. Because the moment you sell to the people at the lower level, those are the middlemen, or either the wholesalers who want to go and do retail. So simply that means is that they're going to buy from you at a lower price. Remember, market prices are determined by, they're already there. When it comes to agriculture, there's nothing like monopoly. So by the time you're going into the market, even the major markets that you know, you realize that the markets are what we call perfect competition markets, such that No matter how much you're selling at, everyone is going to buy from you. So you cannot sell at a loss. So the market prices are already predetermined by supply and demand in the market. So these two forces kind of drive the price that is going to be sold at, and they also dictate where you can say this is the limit. So this wholesaler who comes to you, then they must put in mind that there is a price that has already been predetermined. It's already set by the market conditions. And so when they are coming to you, they are coming to you with the mind that I need to buy lower so that I can sell higher and make the profits. Remember, these people, when they come to you, they don't come to you with the mind that they want to just sell. They come to you with the idea that they want to make profits. So you, as well as the farmer, you as the owner of the land, you as the middleman, no matter where you are at the value chain and you decide you want to go into business, the first thing that comes into your mind is profitability. Because if you don't put profitability in mind, then you're going to make a huge loss. So that is number one. Number one is to understand and identify the people on the highest level in a value chain. Let me go to number two. Now, number two, when it comes to selling, you think about the people who are there and how you can add value to provide it to them. Remember, number one, we've said that sell to people at the higher level of the value chain. Number two, now, you want to think about how do I add value to my products so that I can sell them at a higher price. Remember, last month we were having a discussion about value chains and how to create value and add value to your products. And we came to a conclusion that for you to add value to your product, number one, you have to understand what else do you need to do? What else do you need to do? That is where branding comes in. That is where marketing comes in. That is where positioning comes in. That is where processing comes in. Because for you to add value on any product that you're selling to a market or to a target market, you have to think about the cost that you undergo. That is number one. To add a small value, that is going to translate to bigger margins for you. That is simply what value addition is in business. You spend lesser money, so you spend an extra coin just to make a few more coins, okay? Because in market profitability, of course, let's be honest, profitability goes hands in hand with expenses. So you have, of course, to spend something so that you can make the money. But for you to get to that level whereby you're going to make that money and you have to undergo the expense, you have to do calculated steps, calculated moves so that you can know exactly how much do I need to spend, how much do I put at risk so that I can get that money. Let's go back to our example of the farmer. So farmer X sells tomatoes and he goes into the market and he wants to sell tomatoes. He can think of other things and decide, instead of me selling tomatoes, why don't I come up with an idea of how I can process this tomato to be tomato paste? How can I come up with an idea of how this tomato is going to be processed to be tomato sauce? All right. So you need to think as time goes by. You see, as a farmer, number one, we said as we are starting the show, we said that think of yourself differently, not just as a farmer, but as a founder of your own farm, your own organization, and your own company that you're pushing forward to ensure that you make profits and money. So the first thing is think that you have to undergo a small cost, a small risk so that you can make bigger margins. So think about, do I make tomato paste? Do I make tomato sauce? If you sell chicken, maybe think about what if I slaughter them? What if I cook them? Ensure at any given time you don't leave any money on the table. That is rule number one. When it comes to value chains, value addition, and ensuring that you can get paid more, you want to ensure that you're not leaving money on the table. Because the moment you leave money on the table, it simply means that you're running at a loss. And now your farm stops being sustainable. So that is number two thing. So we've said number one, look into the market, understand exactly how much is the market costing you to run. What are some of the places that you can sell for better prices? What are some of the places that you can serve better and widely? Then from understanding that, the second thing that you want to do is understand exactly how long does it take for you to make that money. It's very critical. This is a no-brainer, let me tell you. If you want to make any money in business, you see, usually farmers in our times and as you're coming into the space necessarily, most farmers don't put in mind the idea that it's going to cost them something to get somewhere. And even more, they don't think about the time that is going to cost them to get that. So this is just a quick recap. That was our first point, time. Time is of essence. Number two, the highest bidder is of essence. You need to think exactly whom do I sell to at better prices, better cost, so that I can have an advantage over my competitors. And we say number three is that you need to think about value addition. Exactly how do you add value to your product? Value addition is critical for anyone in business, for anyone who thinks of this is how I want to run my business, this is how I want the business to go, you have to think about value addition. Now, tell me, what do you think? What are some of the questions you have? What are some of the things that you're having? And what are some of the things that you would want to think about to get into? I'm going to recognize a few people. I can see Director Kev is in the house, Kevo DePaul in the house. Geoffrey Moema is in the house. He says, Mr. Numa, I'm here watching, bro. Karibu sana, Jeff. I'm really happy you're there. Keep on. Let's keep on growing into the space, because if we need to build sustainable futures as Africans, we need to build a sustainable future as Kenyans. Of course, we must think about exactly what are some of the things that give us an upper hand. So as we'll be coming back from the break, we'll be demystifying more of the ways that you can ensure that you're selling your products the best way to the best markets, so that you can make the best margins in the market. Until then, I would want us to go for a short commercial break. Let us take a short commercial break. Do not scroll past. Do not go anywhere. Just stay there. We'll be back after a short break so that we can break even more. How do you make more profits? And actually, we're also going to look into what are some of the best prices that you can set that will give you a competitive advantage. See you. Karibuni nyote. One day was boiling water, like the one that you can see at a nearby bush. And then one of the leaves fell into the water that he was boiling. And that is how he realized a flavor, not only a flavor, but a beverage that was going to create the entire difference in the world when it comes to beverages. Realizing nursery is not as simple as I thought. It's not as simple as I was thinking when I was coming here. I'm seeing a whole lot new level of invention, creativity, na venye kazi inafaa ifanyike. So guys, let's go into kuweka mchanga. So tunaenda kuweka mchanga hapa hivi, so that we can see tutatengeneza pieces ngapi. Hii karatasi inakuanga na pieces ngapi?
Hiyo karatasi inakuanga na pieces 100.
Oh, hii ni pieces 100. Bold insights, real numbers, and smarter farming. Every day at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., we decode the numbers and the insights that shape your agribusiness hustle. Welcome to Lunchtime Market Reports, your front row seat to tea prices, export trends, and financial tips that matter. Whether you are a farmer, a student, or an entrepreneur in the making, this is your moment to grow smarter, trade bolder, and move faster in your industry. I am Benson Numa. Join me live on Chai TV weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Let's turn insights into income. I'm really happy that you're back on air and that you're here and still watching with us. Now, we were talking about the formula of value addition and ensuring that you can make enough money, that you can make enough profits when it comes to business. And we talked about the third thing, which was value addition. Now, I want to talk about another thing. When it comes to agriculture and you want to grow, very well. You want to ensure that you have this stairway that keeps you going up and up and up and expanding as you're going. You have to ensure that you also understand some of the other several income streams that you can use as a business owner. Some of the several income streams that you can place a bet on, and they're going to give you an extra coin. For example, let's say you sell chicken, as we were saying, or tomatoes. So if you sell chicken, you can make an extra coin or two from the manure. You can make an extra coin from maybe slaughtering them and selling things like gizzards and stuff to people, because there are people who necessarily just want to buy that. You see, when it comes to building a business, you have to be very creative such that your products can be broken down into different strategies and different products that are going to give you money, because the more diversified your portfolio is, the better it is for you, especially when it comes to agriculture. You see, in agriculture is this sustainable kind of a movement that nothing goes to waste. Nothing in agriculture goes to waste. Everything that you get into is going to be used somewhere. Everything that you put your hand to do, everything that you put your hand to move with is going to go somewhere. It's going to be somewhere. Someone needs it. Someone must buy it from you. So you want to think about what are some of the byproducts that I can sell from this, because you do not only go into business, you do not only go into agribusiness just thinking about I'm going to sell this product. You have to think about different products that can come out of the product that you're selling, because that is the only way that you can make enough money, and that is the only way that you can ensure that your agricultural practice is sustainable. Now let me go to the other point. The other point is that you can do things like agro-tourism. This has been big. Has been big, especially for farmers who has the privilege and the advantage of a bigger farm. So you can invite institutions, organizations, students from schools, different schools in this life, from primary to secondary to universities. They can come for agro-tourism and they're going to pay you, and you can make an extra 10% or 15% more money from what you're supposed to make. You see, that coin, that extra coin, I told you previously, before we went for our break, I mentioned that you want to ensure that there is no coin that you leave on the table. You want to ensure that nothing comes to you and then kind of walks away. You want to ensure that nothing is on the table that you're not taking. In business, you have to clear all those coins unless it's very necessary and mandatory for you to leave that coin on the table. So you need to think about agrotourism. Maybe you do large-scale tomato farming. Talk to schools, invite them, let them come and learn from you. Let them understand how do things work, how do these happen, how do you do the nursery, how do you plant them, how do you move them from the nursery to the garden. You see, these are all things that people are looking for, and you can take advantage of them. If maybe you're rearing animals or livestock and you know that you have a good number that people can come, and you have the expertise of letting these people understand, go for it. Agrotourism is a big one, and is going to help you a lot when it comes to agriculture. So that is it when it comes now to trying to look into various ways that you can try to earn when it comes to agriculture. You can also come up with your own tech. You can decide maybe you grow certain stuff. You see, solutions are birthed from problems. The moment that you have a problem and you think about that problem proactively, you can birth a solution. So sometimes you even realize that actually the problem that you're having apparently is the problem with what? Maybe with something like you realize that you're having a hard time having to take stock, or having to keep records on your farm, or having to know about how much did we produce this month, and how much do we want to produce next month. So it can be about data collection, data entries and stuff. So you can decide that you want to come up with something, and then you can use that very thing to license it, to lease it to other people, or even to sell it to other people that they can use it. You see, when it comes to business, there are no limits up to how far you can get. There are no limits up to how far you can become. So you have to think extremely critically and proactively so that you can ensure that everything runs in line and in order. Let's go to our final part, and that is the part when it comes to marketing and sales. The value and the going of any product is defined by these two. You see, it's one thing to understand where to get it. It's another thing to understand the prices. But you see, one thing that sets you apart from everyone else is how good you can become at sales and marketing for your products. Do you want me to break this down? Now, marketing basically is making it known to people who don't know that you exist. So marketing is basically taking your product out there for people to see it so that they can buy from you not only today but also tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So you're trying to build this brand and you're trying to build a name for yourself and to build a reputation as well. That is number one. So that is marketing. You're trying to take it, you're pushing it to a targeted market so that they can know about you. You're creating awareness. People grow aware that you sell a certain product. You can start even with a friend who tells a friend, and a friend who knows some people who need what you need, and those people know a friend who knows a friend. Okay, that is basically marketing. So when it goes from me to you, from you to another person, we call it network. All right, you start building networks that create awareness for you, that help you understand exactly what are some of the things that are going to happen and what are some of the things that are going to go into the entire process of your selling. So marketing is very critical. And let me tell you, I cannot underplay the essence of marketing, because even the big companies also spend on marketing. You see, it's very funny that the bigger companies spend more on marketing, yet some of them are very well known. Some of them, everyone else uses them. Yet they are spending so much on marketing and promotions. And small businesses look at this as an expense actually, and a luxury that they think they cannot afford. So when it comes to promotions and marketing, I want to submit it to you that it's very critical that you go into it, because this is something that you cannot live without. If you want your business to grow, if you want your business to go to the next level, you have to keep on creating awareness. You need to keep on pumping information to the marketplace so that the marketplace can keep on understanding, these people have this solution for me, these people can do this with me, and these people have this possibility for me. Now, outside of that, no one knows about you, so no one mentions you to people, and that simply tells you that you'll never be able to tap into untapped markets, and you'll never be able to get into places that have not gotten before. So marketing is so critical for you, because it's what creates interest in people, some who have never met you, some whom you don't know. Because when you're starting in agriculture, remember, the first people that you sell to, they're people you know. So you talk to a few people that you know, they deal with your product, and then you sell it to them. Then you start going on yourself to the marketplace, looking for a few people that you can sell the same to. But you get to realize as time goes by, now it gets to a point whereby you can no longer depend on that market, because it's not sustainable for scale, it's not sustainable for growth. It's not possible for you to get to the next level, to serve at a higher level with the very similar market that you've been serving or you've been working with. So growth and expansion in business comes with tapping into untapped markets and untapped potential still in the marketplace. So you want to think about, how do I ensure that this untapped market gets to hear about my product and I can tap into it, and they can buy from me, I can sell to them, I can serve them. So think about marketing. You can use platforms, you can use banners, you can use agents, you can hire people to do marketing for you, you can hire people to go and spread the word for you, you can yourself start doing cold calls or doing bulk SMS. You see, the moment that most of us will stop viewing farming as just an unserious thing or a joking thing or just a casual thing, and start viewing it as a business, start viewing it as something that is there to produce results for you, start viewing it as something that is there to help you ensure that you get the results that you're looking for, build a life, create impact, and become a brand that people want to associate with, that is the very time that you will know the importance of marketing. So I don't want you to think about farming as just a casual thing that you're doing on the farm, as just a practice that you're working out on your livestock. I want you to think about it as something more than that, something like a company, something like an organization. And I want you to go and sit down and hire a few people. Get a few people whom you can hire to go and sell your product. So talk to them, let them first of all market your product to different organizations. You remember our first point was about selling it to the highest bidder or selling it to people on a higher value chain in your industry. So the only way you get to the people at the higher value chain is through marketing and promotions. That is the only way they can get to know about you. And then by getting to know about you, they can compare you against the competitors that you have. Because of course you have competitors. Because of course there are people who are coming after you. Because of course you have people who are trying of course to replace you. So you market very well. You set out there what are some of the unique value propositions you have. What are some of the unique traits and abilities that you have as a farmer or as a business person. And then from there, you go to the next level, which is sales. Now, before we go to sales, let me go back to marketing and really emphasize on this point. Get people who can get your word out there, pay them on referral, pay them on commissions, pay them salaries, whatever you need to do. As far as you can have foot soldiers on the ground, People going to people, telling them about you, marketing you, just telling them we exist, we are here, these are what we sell, these are at how much we are selling, and you can get us through this number. That is the first step towards becoming better in your business. That is the first step towards you becoming better in execution. Because the only way you're going to get things done is if people know that you do them. That is marketing. Now let's go to sales. Now sales, basically what sales is the value, the tool that brings value out of marketing. That is sales. It is the tool that sucks out value, ensures that there is monetary gain for you as a business owner or as a farmer after you've done the marketing. After you've done the promotions, the advertising and stuff, sales is what brings value to you. Now, I'm going to break this briefly for you. This is you sending people out there and telling them, I need you to go now and ensure the people who know what we do, I want you to sell to them. I want you to know how much they are willing to pay, because that is number one. And I want you to check who are some of the clients that we can serve from the profile that I give you. You remember we said research and decide which are the markets that you want to serve. So once you've researched and decided this is who I want to serve and this is the price they are good at, you can decide even to have a good market entry strategy. You can give discounts, you can give offers, you can give free trials. It depends with what you want to achieve and how fast you want to achieve it. So go into that market, start convincing people to buy, because now sales is what gets money into your pocket. Marketing gets the word to the client, gets the word and creates awareness to the market, and it takes money from you. But sales is what determines the ROI that you receive after you've done all the marketing. So sales is what defines exactly how much value do you get for every coin spent on every advertising. How much do you make for every coin spent on marketing? How much do you get on every coin spent on that one person that you paid to go out there and talk about you? And you're in business, as we've said. So remember, you have to ensure that it's going as it's supposed to be and you're making profits. At the end of the day, you're not there to just help people. You're also there to make money, because the moment you try to help people and you're not making money, it's not sustainable. So there will be no one to help those people that you're trying to help. And there will also be no one to help you. So the first thing you want to think about is, how are you making the money? How are you making that money? It's okay you've done the marketing. It's okay you've done the proposals. It's okay you've gone to these people and told them this is what I'm doing and blah, 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 blah. The second thing is that you want to do sales. Can write proposals to the highest bidders. For example, hotels and supermarkets, possibly you need to do a tendering contract or a proposal to them, so that at least they can look into your terms, look into what you're bringing on the table, and then decide, do we want to work with you? Can we leave the other people who had also proposed to work with us this year and decide to work with you? So if you decide also to go to schools and tell them, hey, you know what, I want to be tendering here for this and this and this and this. I want to tender here for this and this and this, and I want to bring them to you and supply them to you. You also need to understand, all right? They need to compare you, and that is what we call sales. Sales is now the call to action after the marketing. Once I've done the marketing, sales is now the ask. Give me this from this. You've understood that I do A, B, C, D. Now, this is how much I need from you. This is what I need you to buy from me. This is how I need you to buy it from me. This is how it's going to get to you. All these are things that are going to drive exactly how you do your own sales. Because if you don't do critical, all right, aggressive and focused sales approach, you're never going to get money. You do a lot of promotions, people will get to know you, a lot of people will know you, but at the end of the day, you sit down on your books and then you realize we actually don't have a lot of money on it. We actually don't have money on the very thing that we are pushing out there. And you'll be a bitter business person. You'll be a bitter person doing business, and actually you might even end up quitting altogether. So the first thing that you want to do is to ensure that you can do sales, because if you're not doing sales, then there's nothing that you're going to do. Let me know from wherever you are. Let me know from what you're doing. Let me get to know exactly what are some of the things that you think they are really helpful, and you feel like these are some of the things that you would have wanted to learn, and some of the things that you've learned from today's session, so that we can also understand that from today's approach of things, this is how much you've been able to achieve, and what would you want us to discuss. Now, till next time, this was the Morning Brew. I was your host, Benson Numa, and I'm really looking forward to see you here tomorrow, same time, so that we can get to demystify more about this, and as we look forward to have an expert on board also to advise on a few products, a few crops, and a few livestock breeds that you can work with to make more. I wish that you have a productive day, a very profitable day. Go out there in the marketplace, go and make money, go and make the change. Cheers.